What's up, y'all boys? DJ the Century back here with another video. So listen, I made that part one because I already knew what it was gonna be. We just talking about Battlefield 2042 today because I told y'all, bro, that beta was exactly what they were gonna release when the release date came. Exactly. And some of you clowns, I shouldn't say clowns, but some of you fools out there actually went and bought the pre-order, so you have the early access to basically the same beta that everybody played, and then you didn't have a patch until the game was actually released. So you played it that whole, I think it was 4 days they had the game early, and you played that nonsense until they actually released the update. But it gets better. The update was trash. The update didn't fix nothing. It actually broke some things in the process. So I'm just making this part 2 to follow up from my part 1, just to let y'all know I knew the whole time. I knew because this is their practice these days. They like to release products that aren't finished because it's so easy for them to fix them and update them on these new generation consoles like PCs and PlayStations and pretty much all the platforms they release their games out on these days. So it's not really a huge incentive to release a finished product because you could just release a trailer and hype everybody up, and then everybody is just gonna go buy it because they just want to play the game. And then you release your fake apologies while you counting up everybody money, and you make promises that you're gonna fix it. I really know this business plan. That's why I ain't even bother buying this game. I only played the beta, and that was it. Because I wanted to see what kind of state it was. I wanted to gauge it because it always seemed like it was strange that they were releasing a beta so soon, so close to the release date. So that always threw a red flag to me. So what does Battlefield 2042 look like right now as what's supposed to be a full release? It's still broken. There's still a lot of graphical glitches. There's still a lot of hit marker registration issues where your bullet spread is way too much. A lot of YouTubers I've seen so far have been advocating that the game is okay and they're having a good experience, but it's like you're watching them play the game and you're seeing all the bugs literally happen right before your eyes, and they just pretend like they're not even there. So I just assume that these are Battlefield advocates that are paid by DICE to keep their mouth shut, or they intentionally keep their mouth shut so they can continue to receive promotions based on the title, right? So, that includes people, I really don't even want to mention any names, but y'all know who they are. So, obviously the game's missing a lot of features. Pretty much the only thing that's keeping the game alive is the portal mode right now. Without that portal mode, the game would be completely dead right now because nobody really wants to play all-out warfare, especially with all of the core systems that are not in the game anymore. So you don't have any of the original classes anymore. You have all these specialist classes, and the game still hasn't found a way to differentiate them from one another. They do a really poor UI thing where they have those little icons above their heads, and it's a little more consistent now than it was in the beta. But there's still times where you can't even see that little icon, so you think that, your teammates are enemy players. There was a Reddit post that mentioned all of the missing features. I noticed about probably 65% of the stuff on the list that was missing. There's issues with changing attachments on classes. It's really just a real huge shit show, if I can honestly sum it up, because this is where gaming is going in general. Look at Halo. They released a game, and technically the game is sort of free if you have the little game pass or whatever, but the game makes you play stuff you don't want to play. You don't really have that freedom of choice anymore because they want to keep all that stuff hidden away until the real release date. So I'm just making this video to follow up to the first one to let y'all know. I always knew. I knew this is what they were going to do because this is the first time they've done it. This is not the first time they've done it. People have been making comparisons of this game 2042 to, they're comparing it to Battlefield 4. And I think that's an inaccurate comparison because Here you have 2042 that's missing a lot of the fundamental aspects of Battlefield. And it also runs poorly. Battlefield 4 was still Battlefield 4, it just ran like dog shit. You know what I mean? And you can still play the game, you can still shoot people, because I played the worst version of that game on PS3. And I'm talking about the worst part about the game was just the ground textures wouldn't load. On the naval DLC they released, the ground textures were having issues. And even then, because Battlefield, the core fundamental stuff was still there, people were still playing the game. People were still out there running on invisible textures, having gun battles and all kind of stuff. Still flying vehicles. You know, I never really had any major crashes on PS3 for say, like I do on this game during the beta on a PC. And mind you, my PC is like, it's not a dog shit PC by any means. I mean, I have pretty much all the top of the line stuff right now. Regardless, I mean, I just don't have a 3080 right now. I have one of the older NVIDIA cards, but it still runs the game. Well, at least Battlefield 4, I ran that game all the way at ultra settings. As soon as I logged in on this game here, man, getting like 40 FPS or something like that. That shit was horrible. So it's just not an accurate comparison. You know, people still play Battlefield 4 when it was broken, and 2042 has already lost pretty much 70% of its player base. You know, and everybody, for some reason, there's a group of people that seem to believe that everybody's just hopping on the hate train. And that's not the truth. The truth here is that everybody is starting to recognize the bullshit that EA is forcing DICE to put out. That's pretty much it. And can we even blame it on EA at this point? Because DICE isn't even the same amount. It's not the same people anymore. There's different people that are developing these games these days. And we can't, I don't know if we can 100% put that blame on EA. It's mostly their fault, because for them to, a publisher to allow something like this to release, that's pretty poor judgment, in my opinion. So I'm not gonna let this video go on for too long, but I just want to make this follow-up video to part 1 to let y'all know your boy knew. I always knew. So with that said, holla at your boy. I'm out. Peace.